What's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and DopelivenTV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219 Stand Up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl, Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know what this is right here. This Trigger Trench in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl, Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
All right, let's get this going. What's up? It's your boy Greg Gray. This is Dope Living TV Live. Let me start it off by saying the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. Man, we're going to have a really, really great show. Sound like Ed Sullivan, right? We're going to have a really, really great show tonight. And I've been waiting on this show, honestly, because if you're in this business, you know, you get to talk to everyone, right? But it's rare when you really get to talk with somebody that you feel is so close to you that you could just reach out and touch each and every single time. I'm so proud to call this woman my sister. And I'm even prouder to say she's doing her thing, all right? We're going to be talking today with Miss Lisa Bennett. She is an author. We changed that up, yo. She is an award-winning author. She is a motivational speaker. She's an executive coach. She's a life strategist. And she has a story to tell, a fantastic story to tell of triumph, of you know, just a lot of stuff has happened with her. And she's come through it. And, you know, we always say on the show, you got to go through things to get to something. She's a perfect example of that. Let's get this going real quick. All right. What's up, Mo?
What's happening, man?
Chilling, man. I'm ready, bro.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Bring it on.
Gina's having some technical difficulties.
Is she though? Oh.
She's trying to get on, but she's having some issues. She'll be on shortly. But
that's what you get for talking about me, Gina.
Yeah, no. That's what she do. What's up, Marcella?
Hey everyone. How you guys doing?
She had to grab that Wawa. You know what I mean?
I did.
Had to get that Wawa going. So you all know, y'all know how I feel about this person here, man. That's my girl, partner. That's my sister. She is an award-winning, and I love to say that when you speak of her name. She is an award-winning author.
Mm-hmm. So is this the sister that was in the guild?
At the Distinguished Authors Guild?
Yeah.
The one that was singing?
Yeah.
You know, when the spirit move you.
Yeah. I remember putting her name in that little ad thing that I made. I was like,
yes, sir.
I remember her. Yeah, okay. And she got it. She was there. The spirit hit her.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye up in this joint. When the spirit moves, let the groove. Let the luck come. You know. Tree says, "Hey, what's going on?"
Hey, Tree.
Hey, man, and I also got to get. This is my brother. See the same thing.
I do.
Roger Lewis Kennedy says, "Keep striving for greatness." So this guy's got a movie getting ready to come out. Okay, he's taking time and doing it the right way. So hey, man, it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait for that either, man. Holly Seaside, what's going on?
Hey, Holly.
All right, now that we got the formalities out of the way, man. Look, Lisa has a book. All right, it's going all over. It's called Just Keep Living: Conversations with Granny.
All right.
If you haven't read the book, if you haven't got the book, it's life lessons that's told through her grandma. All right, and there's some comedic passages in there, but the thing is it's meant to help you to live a better life, and I think it's done a fantastic job. Everybody say hello to my friend.
Hey, what's going on, Lisa?
What up, crew? How are you guys this
What's
evening?
going on, sis?
Everybody's great. There's Gina.
Yeah, there she is. She
What
just
up?
pop on when she feel like it.
We should feel like, she running things. You already know.
That's what you get for talking about me on Facebook.
Oh, you was out there like
today.
Freddie's dead.
I put that,
That's what I said.
I saw this sitting on top of the wardrobe, and I said, "Let me do some craziness." I put the hat on. I started taking a picture. I took like 30 pictures, and that was the funniest one. So
that's funny, man. Glad we all in a good mood. So I can already tell it's going to be a great sit down conversation. Lisa, how's it going, baby?
It is well, as they say in the Bible. It is well with my soul.
Man,
Amen.
we have talked about
Lisa.
So, Gina.
talked about it. We've gone around it. Greg, what's up? Man, this and that. I need you on the show, though, Lisa. All right. She comes on the show. She got 5 minutes. Okay. We ain't no. We don't even have time today to get to her entire story, but we're gonna get it all in. We're gonna get it all in. Most definitely. So again, Lisa, thank you for joining us. And let's get it. So conversations with Granny.
Yeah.
What's up?
50. I was blessed to have 50. Granny passed away in 2019. And so I had 56 years with Granny to have some of these conversations. But really the ones that all of them shaped my life. Granny started telling me things. I mean, I can remember as far back as 3rd grade coming home upset about certain things, not fully understanding. And Granny just always had a way of breaking it down for me and making it palatable. And when I say that, let me give you an example. For people who don't know, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. Well, when you're in grade school, you're not really even sure what that means. I can articulate that today, but I couldn't at 9, 10 years old.
Right.
And I remember I knew that there were little boys that I was attracted to, but there were little girls that I was probably equally attracted to. And I used to walk a certain young lady home from school all the day. She was attractive to me, but I mean, it wasn't anything. We were grade school. Literally nothing was going on. But anyway, I remember beating a young man, a classmate of mine. I was always athletic, and we were playing basketball in gym, and I beat him in a game. And if you know anything about me, I'm very competitive when it comes to basketball, and I played in high school and all of that, so I got a scholarship. But nonetheless, at that age, we were relatively all the same height, and I was able to beat him. And he was angry with me. So when we get to the cafeteria, he blurts out, you, and he's trying to find something to say, you lesbian. And I was just like, so, 3rd grade, 4th grade, I had no clue what he meant. No idea. But I was upset. And so I got home and my grandmother said, what's wrong with you? And I said, this boy called me a name. And she said, well, what was it? And I couldn't even get the word lesbian out. I was like, I don't know. It was what something, Granny, something like that. She said, well, if you can't say it, why are you so upset? And I said, Granny, it was just how rude it was and how harsh it was and so vile and so full of hatred that I knew I was supposed to feel bad. Once he said it, even though I didn't know what he meant. And she said, oh, no, you got it all wrong. And I said, what do you mean? She said, listen, when people stand around school talking about you, they don't have nothing else going on in their lives, Lisa. You mean that boy didn't have nothing else to say, nothing else going in his life, that he took time out to find something to call you that y'all can't even say? He said, girl, you doing something right. You keep on doing that. Tomorrow, come home and tell me what he said so we can celebrate. Come on. From a very, very young age, she just shaped me to try to find the silver lining or lean to the good in something and not get stuck on stuff. So when I say that started that early in life, man, it's just always been, like I said, 56 years of that consistently with her about how to shape things to my advantage, if you will.
So Lisa, let me interrupt you right there. So you go home and you have this epiphany, so to speak, with because your grandma made you see this in a different way than it was. It could have been tragic, for you, but she made you see it in a different way. So, and I know there's more to the journey, but I want to jump ahead a little bit. So you've always talked to her. You've always had these moments with her. You've always looked to her for guidance, and then she leaves.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, really, the story started here, Greg, in 2014. I had, when I left Gary, I went off to college and did all that stuff, but I ended up in New York, and I've been in New York since the late 80s. And so I would come back and home to visit periodically. You check in on your mom, this, that, and the other. You check in on the relatives. And my mom has a younger sister, well, a couple of younger sisters, and they're real tight. But she has one in particular that they are what people refer to as Siamese twins. Like they're barely a year apart. And my mother, as a matter of fact, my cousin Rhoda Taylor, she graduated the year, maybe 2 years after you. But it's Rhoda's mother. So her mother, my mother, and sisters. And Rhoda's mom gets ill. And then my mother, and she subsequently passes away. Well, right before she passes away, I find out that they're both, my mom and Rhoda's mom, are sick. So I said, I got to get back closer to home and figure out what's going on, because they were of the mindset that they had lived their lives and they did not want to interrupt what they were calling my success. Don't tell her what's going on. She'll stop and drop everything and come back here and think she can save the world. And we need her to keep doing what she's doing because she's doing great. She's able to help the family out this way, that, and the other at a level of success that we had not known immediately, right? Financial success and things like that. And so they didn't tell me the truth about what was happening with the two of them. And so I get wind that my aunt is really sick, and I said, okay, enough of this. Y'all keeping stuff from me. So I buy a house and move back to Gary. And then I give up. At that point, I had my own consulting practice, small boutique practice. We were taking a lot of subcontracts for bigger firms. And so I decided, well, I had gotten some calls from some of the larger players in the game, if you will, because I had taken subcontracts from them over the years. And not one of them, but the largest consulting firm had reached out and said, hey, we got some positions open in Chicago. Will you ever consider it? And I was like, no. But then I thought about it and I said, well, what's going on? I need to get closer. So long story short, I took a position with the firm, bought a house, a blessing in disguise. My grandmother, the house my grandmother bought in the early 60s, the house immediately next door was available.
Wow.
So I contacted the family and bought that house. And that way I could be next door to check out what's really going on.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm still traveling the country doing my thing. And my daughter says to me, they're not telling you the truth. They're really sick, mama.
Peeping the game out,
right? And they're not telling you the truth, and you really need to take some time out. And so I'm in New Mexico on a project, and I said, what? My daughter said, yeah, grandma's in the hospital. We're not even supposed to tell you.
What?
And I jump on a plane, I come home, I was like, what the is going on? And I found out that my mom and my aunt are really much sicker than I realized. My aunt, I take the job in March. My aunt dies immediately in August.
Man, that's close.
And so my mother is devastated, and as so are the rest of us, because in my family, as you'll find out, people live to be 100 years old. It's just the way it is. And it's what we've come to expect.
Right.
And at least 96, 97. I mean, we almost never in 6 generations bury anybody under 90 years old.
Wow.
And so Rhoda's mom gets sick. She passes away. My mom looks at us on Christmas Day, 4 months later, and she says, I can't do this without my sister. I don't even want to do this without my sister. And we were like, well, hold on. Slow your roll.
Pump your brakes, baby.
We all hurting. I mean, you have to understand their parents are still alive, right? We're all hurting. We're going to get through it. We just need to stick through. And she said, no, I can't. And literally my mother died 10 days later.
Oh, man. She died of a broken heart.
Yeah, right. And so there was some, don't get me wrong, there was some things wrong physically with both of them. But in the end, the doctors all said, you know, yeah, your mom has some stuff going on, but they said what Mo said, she died because her heart is broken.
Yeah.
She don't know how to be without her sister, which devastated us because we had just lost my aunt.
Right.
Sort of out of sequence. She wasn't 100 yet, so we were already kind of like, wait, what's going on? And then my mother tells us that she's ready to go because she's missing her sister too much.
Wow, that is something else. Hey, real quick, Glennis Deer says, I have the book. It is outstanding. And because I knew Granny, I can hear her voice in the passages. I adored her spirit. The Cox, Bennett, and Wilson families are tops in my book. So, you know, and from what I know about you, Lisa, you're very matter of fact. You're very direct. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Some people don't think so, but hey.
Hey, look, you know,
it is what it is.
Sometimes people don't see them. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all, and I'm gonna say this on a personal level. Sister checked me a bunch of times. Real talk, she's checked me, literally.
But it's always in love.
You didn't let me finish, but yes, it's always in love. And that's which is why I'm still standing here, talking to her and still begging her to come through, because at the same time, she tell me, just like my sister Gina, you tell me I'm wrong, I'm gonna admit it. I'm like, look, I'm wrong.
What about when I tell you?
I'm not talking about the white people on the show.
I gotta fight you.
No, you didn't, Negro.
Lisa, we just celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday, and we go with the Lucky Charm over here, man. Come on, man. Get out of here with that. So, Lisa,
you're gonna be all right one day.
We are. You know, I love you, Marcy. Okay. So, Lisa, I mean, with all of that going on, because in her book, when you read the liners, okay, she says grief, sexuality, marijuana, race, and laughter. Granny gives her unapologetic views on how to navigate some of America's toughest topics. Now, Granny has seen a lot. All right.
Yeah. 1924.
Yeah, 1924. We thinking we see a lot, but to have someone like that, I mean, how magnificent it's to have someone like that you can go to when you thinking you know everything, and they just shut you down and say, well, hey, no, this isn't what it is.
In a heartbeat, right? Yeah. And again, you know, let me say the blessing for me was I had grannies. My great grandparents were alive till I was in my 30s. Wow. So I didn't just have, I mean, I had Granny for the last 20 something years because I'm 57 now on her own, but I had my great grandparents before that. Shut you down like you didn't know nothing.
Yep.
Get over there, sit down. Don't say nothing, just sit down.
Right. And had a license and the right to just shut you down. Let me give it to you straight. You ain't talking about nothing. Go sit yourself in the corner. We'll let you know when to worry.
Yeah. See that, but sometimes, like, again, you need that. That's the reinforcement that you need sometimes when you all the way up here. You think you're all the way up there, but that reinforcement gets you to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had a question, a statement. I'm sorry.
No statement. My grandmothers, 98 and 102, when they both passed, and it is so, like you said, I did read your book. I love your book. It is so important that when we talk to our elders, we glean so much from them. And like yesterday was Martin Luther King's birthday, was celebrated. And you hear a lot of things that they don't even want in schools now. But when, I tell young people, sit at the feet of your elders. You find out a lot of things of why we are where we are today. And, it is so important. And, just the little stories. I used to tape my grandmother, hey, when she's talking, and I love little things. And I'm still going through a couple of things from my 102-year-old grandmother. I took care of both of them toward the end. And I'm finding like house deeds from the 50s, not birth certificates, but marriage license and things like that. And that's our history. And I love. Oh, I fell in love with your grandma. I didn't even know her. I was just like, that's my grandma too. I don't care.
Right. And so let me put a pin right there for something Marcella just said. And so this is something that's not in the book, and I'm going to get to this eventually before you guys ask me, because when I say it, people go, "Oh, so you can write a book about that?" So Granny was at the March on Washington.
Wow.
And I remember her. So, you know, the story about Mahalia Jackson just came out a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for most of the world, that was a new story. For me, I've been hearing that all my life. Granny said, so my grandmother was one of the original caravans with Shirley Caesar, James Cleveland, and Dorothy Norwood.
Okay.
And so she was around singing and traveling with those folks back in those days. And I remember her several times saying to me, Lisa, what they teaching y'all, that ain't right. That's not how that happened. I was there. I'm telling you, Martin didn't have that. Ain't written down nowhere. That was not written down. She was friends with Mahalia Jackson, and she was friends with some of these people. So she was like, that's not what happened. I'm trying to tell you. And so, you know, I would be like, well, Granny, this is what I told you. No, I don't care what. Let me apologize in advance. But if you read the book, you're not gonna be shocked. Them white folks try to trick y'all. I'm trying to tell you. That is not, you know.
That's something else, man. Because they were there.
Yes.
We think we know because we read them books, okay, but they were there, actual factuals, you know. So
right.
That's and you had that.
And when the movie The Help came out, my children were saying, now my grandmother didn't go to the movie theater. She just would not go. And the one time I talked her into it was hilarious. Because the last time, to give you an idea, the last time she had gone to a movie theater, it was when you guys, they used to show shorts, these little cartoon shorts before the actual feature comes on. And I like vampires, and I am a Transylvania, what's the cartoon with Adam Sandler? Hotel Transylvania fan. So when it came out, I was so excited. And so I tricked her into going to movies with me. She would say, you'd ask her, why you don't go to the movies? She's like, that ain't in the Bible. You're supposed to pray all day without ceasing. And if you ain't working, you need to be in prayer. It ain't in the Bible. So I don't know why y'all keep giving these white folks y'all money and going out here see the stupid stuff that ain't gonna get you into heaven. Ain't in the Bible. That's why I don't go. And so I tricked her and I said, I want you to go to this movie, Grant. I want to go by myself. So we get in there and we're sitting there and we're probably like 15, 20 minutes into the cartoon. And she said, Lisa, when are they gonna start the movie? And I was like, that's in the movie. She said, oh, Foot, you done wasted your money on this stupid cartoon. I'm going to sleep.
Oh, Lisa, that's crazy. That's funny. Ginny, you had a question.
Yes, I love hearing Lisa's stories about Granny. It's so hilarious. I want you to tell a story about Granny and the kiss.
Oh, so again, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and my grandmother and all of her sisters, let me just say, they have always been, her siblings, her whole generation has been very supportive of my relationship. They are crazy about my spouse. But my grandmother, you know, is at the point, or was at the point where they would just ask me all kinds of questions. I just refused to answer, entertain it. To me, I was just like, y'all just clowning. I'm not answering all that. My wife would entertain them and answer questions. But this particular day, my grandmother was sitting in the kitchen. She said, I just don't understand. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, Lisa, how you fix your mouth? How you fix your mouth to kiss a woman? I just don't understand. And I said, I am not in the mood to entertain you today. Just go somewhere with that. I am not answering you. It is not, I keep trying to tell you, I'm not kissing a woman. I'm kissing a person that I love. I'm not thinking about sexual or orientation or organs and all of that stuff. This is somebody I love. She said, I just don't get it. I said, she go, blah. I said, oh yeah, whatever.
Did she do that in front of your spouse?
Oh, she does that, man. So I walk away and go about my day. And you know, in my family, we kiss on the lips all the time. And so, you know, a few hours go by and I go, I've got to go out and run some errands. So she's still sitting in the kitchen and I run back up the stairs and I said, hey, I go out and do something. She said, okay, baby, be careful. And I said, I kiss her on the lips and I walk away. So now I hadn't planned this and it hadn't even occurred to me. But as I got to the door, I said, by the way, that's the answer to your question. She said, what are you talking about? I said, earlier, you asked me some foolishness about how I fix my mouth to kiss a woman. She said, yeah. I said, I just kissed you. She said, oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Don't.
That is hilarious.
Just clown, man. Just be clowning me for no reason.
Those are some great memories.
That's a great story.
It is. You had something you want to say?
I just had a question. Actually, she got into it before. I know sometimes when you go look at some of these historically supposedly accurate movies, and you got your granny sitting there that was at the spot, and they're trying to tell it. How does that go?
Yeah, I mean, she just be like, they wrong. I mean, so for some of you who grew up in Gary, when they showed that whole Jackson 5 story, you know, everybody in Gary was like, nope, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I could tell people who didn't live here, but we know better. We know who won that talent show. They didn't even win that talent show.
Nope.
Rita Preston won that talent show.
That's right.
You know, you're right. Everybody who know Auntie Rita knows she won that talent show. So, you know, it went like that. I mean, it's the same as watching ER or any of these medical shows with my mother and my god brother and my aunt. Ah, no, that man dead. Oh, no.
Well, let me ask you this, and I hate to turn it around, okay? But let me make sure that I got everybody out the way first. Okay, yeah. So as the time goes on, and you know, you get to this point, and you're having a great time. You're sharing all these anecdotes with us, and again, she leaves us. How does that change your life?
So actually, what happened, Greg, was when my mother and aunt died, I was just so grief stricken. My mother and my aunt. So as a consultant, I leave every Monday morning. The first thing, smoking out of Chicago, because at that time I had relocated. So if the first plane is out at 6, 7 a.m., I'm already at the airport ready to go. I typically talk to my aunt Shirley, which is Rhoda's mother, on my way there. Just before I board the plane, I talk to my mother and my wife. When I get off the plane, I talk to my mother. And I go to the site, and then at the end of the day, I talk to my wife, my mother, and my grandmother. I mean, we just had a routine. And so after my aunt dies, I'm trying to go back to work. And she normally is the person that wakes me up on Monday morning to make sure. She'll say, okay, Lily, you up? You got to go get that plane. And that call didn't come. And I was messed up. By the time I got to the airport, I'm crying, and my cousin Rhoda calls me, and she said, "I know Mama normally calls you. I can't get up at 3." She said, "But I wanted to call you," and I bust out in tears in the airport, sitting in the lobby, in the airport, just crying my eyes off. Then fast forward, I'm dealing with my aunt's death, and then my mother dies. And that takes me to an all-time low. After my mother dies, I can say now, I couldn't probably have articulated this at the time. I was so grief-stricken that I attempted to take my own life. I attempted suicide. My nephew Cameron found me, took me to the hospital. And I didn't care. You know, people, and I liken this to the thing that folks talk about, the whole Twitch thing. You know, at that time, I had a lot of material stuff. I was making a lot of money. I had boat houses, cars, and all that. None of that, excuse my French, shit matters at that point. You don't care about any of that. No. My whole goal in life was to make sure I got old enough, fiscally responsible enough to make sure that my aunt, my grandmothers never needed a thing. They could call me and say, I need a new car. And I said, okay, go pick it out. I want to go here. Okay, go here's a credit card. My mother called me one time. She said, oh, I meant to say thank you. I said, why? She said, I'm in Arizona visiting. I said, what you doing out there? She said, oh, but you paid for it. So when my mom died and my aunt died and they were my pillars, I just lost it. And so my grandmother came into the hospital room. She said, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? God ain't done with you. You don't have the right to cut off his charge. Who do you think you are? You ain't in charge. You don't get to say when this is over. He ain't done what you let. Yeah, you just keep living. Wow. And she said, who gonna take care of me if you go? And So what happens is my grandmother starts, this is where the book comes in. She
Right.
starts to talk to me every day. So she's calling me on the job about, and I'll tell you this story in a second, but she's calling me on the job, just keeping me entertained because she knows that I talk to my mom and I talk to my aunt every day. So she's trying to fill in that gap for me. And then I get better and things are going well. And then Granny passes away. So now let me say this. Granny stayed on for another couple of years. My aunt died around 2016, the January 2016 is when my mom died, and Granny passes away in May of 2019. So she hangs in there. And she literally says to me a couple of days before she died, she said, "You okay now? Y'all okay now? I can go." And I'm thinking, she ready, come on, because she was in a rehab facility. And she's like, she wanted to make sure her grandchildren were okay and could carry on. She's like, "But you ain't, Lisa, you ain't got it together." So the other three, they seem to be doing okay, but you got to get it together. And she said to me that morning, "I can go home now." And I thought, yeah, okay, let's put your shoes and socks on.
No, she's talking about home.
And we did that. And the nursing staff kept calling me. I said, she's driving me crazy. She's driving y'all crazy. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. She keeps telling me she ready to go. She ready to go. Comb her hair, put her stuff on her. She said, "Well, listen, this is my last day. So I want you to go buy some chicken." And she gave me a list and I left to go get it. And by the time I came back, she was gone, sitting fully dressed, having a full-fledged conversation. And I said, "What happened?" They said, "She just stopped talking."
Wow.
She just stopped talking. So after that, I'm still in therapy from dealing with my mom, my aunt, and now I need to deal with the passing of my grandmother. Now, in between there, let me say this. All of my grandparents were still alive. So my other set of grandparents had also passed that September in between.
Wow. So
And
it's
they
all lumped on you at one time.
Yeah, and they had celebrated 52 years, I think, at that point, September 2nd. And then my grandfather died about the 10th. And then my step-grandmother, who had been really my grandmother since 1950, I didn't know, I wasn't born in 66, so she was already well into the picture. I grew up with her as Grandma Maddie. She then passed. She said to me, "Your grandfather keeps coming to me in my sleep, telling me to come on and go with him." I said, "Tell him you had enough. You need a break. He gone. Go on the other side. Leave the hell alone for a little while." And she said to me, "Lisa, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with him." 2 days later, she was gone.
Oh,
right. And so then when Granny went, I was in therapy because I was dealing with all of the death, having moved here, having changed jobs. I had 2 kids who graduated from college. They needed to go off to college. We changed cities. We bought a new house. We moved again. And with my grandmother, it was just so much change. And so I'm in therapy, and my therapist said, "I need you to journal." And I was like, I ain't got shit I want to talk about. I'm done with all this. The person that was keeping me here, I love my wife and all that, but she'll be all right. We got some assets. She'll be good. I'm ready to check out. And she said, no, just write about something. And all I could think of was my grandmother. And so I would start writing, and she said, "You think that's funny?" I was like, "Well, she is kind of funny." And I just kept writing. And then some of you, I think Greg and I were friends on Facebook. I would put something out there every now and then, and people would laugh, and I'm like, yeah. And so my cousins and my wife said, "You should really just go ahead and fully compile all this stuff and write a book." And I was like, nobody cares about this crap. And they were like, "Lisa, people don't have grandmothers." People care. And so that's how the book came about. It was my therapy notes. It was what I relied on day to day to keep me laughing and keep me want to just keep living. My grandmother said that all the time. When I was smaller, I would say to her, "Why you don't do this?" Or "Why do you do that?" Or "Why don't you do this?" Or "Why do you do that?" She said, "Lisa, I'm 40 years older than you. Now I could take the time and explain this to you, but you're 10, or at that time probably you 6 and I'm 46. So you just haven't lived long enough that it's gonna make sense as to why I made this decision. You just keep living, and you'll be able to answer all these questions all by yourself."
Wow.
That is an amazing story. But look at you now. So you are an award-winning author. Not many people can say that, all right? And,
well, in that case, 2 times if you want to keep it funky.
If you count, let's get it right now. 1, 2.
Nonetheless, she's an award-winning author. Shout out to my sister Rashida. She had to throw this in. She crazy as hell, y'all. She said,
I saw that.
I love this book. Oh, the author too. All right. She said, Granny was so wise. I am so thankful for the memories. Yes. And you know what? As your book starts circulating everywhere, you know, I think everybody's becoming relatives of you. Everybody, that's everybody's granny now. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's, you know, what I found out. I have a friend. I'm just gonna say her name because I don't think she would mind. Her name is Shay Wright King.
Mm-hmm.
She was, I don't know what was happening. She was going home from work one day and she called me out of the blue. She said, "Hey," I said, "Hey, what's up?" She said, "Is your granny around?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Right." She said, "Can I talk to her for a minute?" And I said, "Okay." I handed her the phone. Granny said a few things. She said a few things. Granny handed me back the phone. She said, "She gonna be okay." And I was like, "Huh?" And I said, "You all right?" She said, "Oh, I'm good now." She said, "I knew who to call."
Yeah.
And they never met before. My granny just didn't. If you came in the house, it was so funny. There were people that I grew up in the neighborhood with. They would walk in the house, and older folks do this. They get in their own little room and they stay back there and they don't come out because they just doing what they're doing, right? And she would hear somebody's voice and call their full name, and they would go, "She remembers." I'm like, "Man, you'd be glad she don't rattle off your social security number."
Wow.
Telling you. But you are and I've never met your grandma. I've known you for a while, but I've never met your grandma. But you know, reading your book, you're a reflection of her. You know, you're doing everything that she wanted you to do.
Yeah.
And if you haven't met this woman, man, you guys got to meet. You're gonna meet her. I'm not gonna say you got to meet her. You're gonna meet her because she's everywhere, and she's funny. But again, I say matter of fact because Lisa wants you to be right. She wants you to be. She don't want to go out. You want you going out there looking like, you know, Beavis and Butthead. She wants you to be right. So when you out here doing this thing here, because now she's moving in different directions. I mean, and when I say different directions, it's all coming from that book and from her personality. But it's expanding. It's great. Know your worth. Me and her talked about this the other day. Okay.
Yeah, she got a lot of circles she moving in.
Same. Look at this.
Yeah, they're my boys right there.
Shout out to
They're my
T-Mom.
ride or dies.
Shout out to T-Mom. What's up, boy? When you coming on the show? What? Linda says that's the type of person she was. The house knew no strangers. Good conversation.
You know what's so wild? Chevrolet and Rolling Out Magazine gave me an award a few months ago called Sisters with Superpowers. And I had no idea. Jason Mims, who you just showed a picture of along with Timon, he's on Ava DuVernay's new show, Cherish the Day, and he showed up just to be supportive. I mean, amazing. Those guys are amazing. Timon reached out and said, "Yo, I read that book on the plane, laughed my ass off. I'll do the first, you know." So he did my initial book signing with me. I cannot tell you it. Those two guys, along with William Bryant Jr., who of Greenleaf, super supportive, man. I mean, just And recently I met Coco Brown, Nikki Gilbert of Brownstone, and just God, I mean, it's been life-changing. It's opened doors and put me in rooms that I never considered, never thought about.
But belonged in. I'm telling you all. But those are rooms that you belong in. All right. Tomorrow, you know, you never know who's seeing what you do. Period.
Right,
you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You put it out there into the atmosphere because that's what you feel. Because it's in you to put it out there, and you never know who's going to touch it and how many lives that you touch as you go through your journey.
Yeah, and you know what? That's been the most rewarding thing. I was doing a little promo shoot the other night, and I was sitting there, and we were talking about script, and I was like, I don't script out anything. I just don't. My prayer is, Lord, hide me behind the cross and use me as you will. And whatever I say and do is not even me. And I'll have to go back sometimes I ask my wife, what I say? What I do? Did I look like a fool? Because I don't know. It's almost as if I have out-of-body experiences, and I'm in a zone that I am not consciously aware of. But when I say, God, fill me up and use me however it's going to be all right. I know it's going to be all right. If you're in control and I just relinquish trying to control this thing, it's guaranteed to be all right. If I stay in control, I'm guaranteed to mess up something along the way.
I say it all the time, Lisa. You know, I'm always in the way of what I need to do. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to do too much. My sister Gina stopped me from doing all of that mess. Okay, because I'm doing too much. You know, I was the guy who could never say no. You want me to do this? Yes, yes, yes. As Gina said, Greg, sit your black ass down. Okay, and so. And so I did, okay? And it's been a lot better. It's been a lot more beneficial, lucratively, as well as health-wise. It's been a lot better. So, you know, every time, you know, when Lisa and I would talk, Greg, where you going? I'm going this place. Lisa, where you going? I'm going over here. When you gonna be home? I'll be home next week for a day, right?
Right.
A day. Then I got to go.
That's both of us.
But it's a beautiful thing to be able to still have that camaraderie after everything that we're doing, all of us, to have that camaraderie and be able to sit here and talk just like we do. We don't do interviews. We do conversations. All right. I don't care what nobody says. We do conversation, and this is just what this is. So let's fast forward a little bit more. So now. And I think this is a huge honor. And some people say, well, I didn't win. Okay. Don't make a difference. Look at where your name is at now. NAACP. Look where your name is now. You know?
NAACP Image Award. Right, yes. Right. Hey, and my competition wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama and Viola Davis. I ain't bad.
Exactly. If you're gonna lose to somebody,
lose to them. Yeah.
You know?
You don't want to lose to Leroy in his book. Hanging on the corner on Fifth Ave, you know.
Leroy now, Pookie now.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to lose to that.
Pookie and Leroy,
and it's not a loss. It's not a loss.
Oh man, so you know, again, going through the process, is a winning thing, because now I know what that feels like and what that, you know, it's just a journey, right? This whole thing that we're doing called life really is just a preparation for, in my belief, now I ain't trying to force this on nobody else, but for me, it's just a preparation for what's to come. And so I'm having a good time doing it. I won't say I'm not disappointed in some of the things that happen sometimes, because you just want to put it out there, but I won't say disappointed. I don't really get too down. I just go, okay, I'm here. I was supposed to experience that. Now, what am I supposed to take away from it? But I tell you, when I was going through those valley moments, and this is where Granny just became, I was always like that because Granny built me like that from the beginning, right? She always nurtured my mind to say, always lean into the good, always understand that God's in control, always understand that nothing, wherever you should find yourself, Lisa, be content. That was her Bible passage. She leaned on that all the time. God's in control. And she used to say to me all the time, your problem is you always trying to do God's job. Why don't you stay in your lane?
Sit back, let him do it. Sit back, let him do it.
I was okay with that until he took my mama. And I wasn't ready. And not to say that you'll ever be ready, but I thought, because of the way he had always, including Granny's mama, he didn't take her mama till she was 100 and I was 35 years old. So surely my mama gonna live to be 90 something. I would have probably been more prepared. But where we had gotten was to the place where she retired. I had retired her. She was traveling with me. We were going wherever we wanted to go. And then it was the thing I was living for, to get to be that age to execute. And then you plucked her out. So it threw me off. And Granny kept saying, I know it threw you off, but he's still in control. Right. And he threw you off for a reason. Maybe that pulled you off your path. So stick with it. Don't try to cut it short. And so I tried to look at, I'm on my way back, but that in that valley, you can't rationalize that. You know, so as I'm coming up out of the valley, I'm understanding it better and putting it in perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay. You know, we are having a conversation with Lisa Bennett, and at this point, we're going to take a little break. We're going to redirect, regroup. Let's take a little break to hear from our life coach, Jeff Relaford.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to you with another 1 minute thought. So, to put it into perspective, forgive me, y'all. What I want to do is I want to hit you all with some steps here. I want to hit you with step number 1 of 3 of how to cope with your shifting of mindset in a negative way. So, step number 1 is this. You want to take time to analyze your feelings and your thoughts. Now, I understand, people, taking time to analyze things is something that we don't want to do. I understand completely, but it's one step closer to you being able to identify the root causes, which leads and flows into the two-parter of this. First step is you have to be willing to identify what causes your mindset shift and why. Why is it going into a negative way? Is it something that you dealt with along the way that you haven't come to grips with? Or is it just, through the everyday actions that you do in life? And sometimes we tend to lose ourselves. So here it is with the 1 minute thought. Remember, redirect, regroup, refocus. I love y'all. Peace out.
I like the music there. Hey.
Coach Jeff Rutherford. He has
Real.
a podcast on Mondays. Y'all check him out. All right. Wow.
I love that. I love that. What he
Lisa
just said.
she was dancing before the show started when the first music came on. Lisa was in there handling. Lisa, she's a very emotional person too. She, she's not afraid to show it. I'm telling you, when she was at the Distinguished Authors Guild in Vegas,
she
won.
You better not play that clip.
Go ahead. I dare you. I dare you.
I don't have the clip, but Lisa, we gotta have you back on. But I want to give you 5 minutes right now. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, and let's just be transparent and get it out there. And let's go, girl. It's on you.
Well. First, actually, I want to follow up on something the coach just said, which I thought was magnificent, because I know that people sometimes have a hard time digesting that. So I thought I wrote something down when he was talking, and I said, for the business-minded folks out there, that's the same thought process when they say your coworker sends you an email or says something to you, and you go back in your office and write an email. Script out the email, but don't hit send until tomorrow.
Mm.
Because you're going to respond out of an emotional place and not have taken the time to really thought about what triggered you, why you were triggered, and why you're responding that way. And you need to know before you hit the send button. So, I mean, that's just for free interpretation for the business folks out there who didn't catch it on the life side part of it. Sometimes it's easier for us to have a real practical, well, what do you mean by that? Here's what I mean. Don't hit the send button when you're pissed off at work. Wait a day. Same thing.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. Yes.
No, in general, I'm all for it. I was hoping that you guys have more questions, because I think better when you're sort of triggering me to to talk about things. Although there was one thing I was going to mention that Granny talked about in the book, because it had to do with her. Oh man, I can't remember what it was about. But somebody has a question. I know it. I can feel it in my spirit.
Oh, Marcy got one right now. Go ahead, Marcy.
She felt that in her shando. Okay, so what all? See, there you go. What all else do you do? You're an author. You're consulting. You mentioned children, mother. What all else do you do?
She braid hair. She changed diapers. Go ahead.
Name some of the other things that you actually do.
I'm a grandma too now. I love my grandbabies.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got one who has an iPad, and she calls pretty much every day.
Aww.
And she orders things off Amazon all the time. And I have told her father that's probably not a good idea for packages to show up at your house on your card, and you don't know that they're coming. But she got it like that. So I ain't mad at her. I just don't know what he gonna expect by the time she's 16.
Oh man.
How old is she?
3.
Oh, so you get a little bit of everything coming in. Okay.
And
Oh
she
my
ordered
gosh.
off of Amazon at 3.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I'm gonna send her a picture of
my
of
address.
a Lexus.
Well, you
and,
know,
and I'm gonna tell her to hit that button. So and I'll send her the address too, so that it comes here.
so he's so funny. She kept on talking about a bouncy house. So we thought, well, he'll rent one for her birthday or something. He's like, nah, what am I rent one for? So he let her pick it out. It's a big old bouncy house, big old full one you find at the arcade or amusement park in the back. And I said, well, why she got to own one? He said, by the time I rent one 2 or 3 times before she get to be 6, I will have paid for it.
Yeah.
So she can just get it now and start jumping. Okay.
She got it like that.
Yeah. He's doing very well.
Amen.
So, Lisa, we're gonna have to really, Gina, Marcy, Mo, we got to do this. We got to
part 2.
I hated.
Come on, give that juice up.
This time we're going to schedule the second part of yours. We're going to schedule it, and it's going to be marked in the book, and we got to do it. Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Hour is not enough time with you. It's not enough time with you. Ordering. Shut up.
Yeah. So she did just get it.
That too, Rashida.
Well, and so they did just get one. I don't know if she ordered it. I don't know who ordered it, but they got a new Q7s.
And we got Rashida on Thursday, actually,
Yes.
to talk about her. So it's nothing but her. And Rashida, just so everybody knows, that's Lisa's wife. So it's talent all up in the family. They got all the money over there, so we got to knock at the door when we got it.
We got to brush off our
Hand
shoes
it out.
before we go inside.
Hey, real quick, well, I'll do it on my turn and stuff. All right, we go around the room. You know how we do, Lisa. You first.
I don't have anything to say on the sign off except, just keep living. Granny was saying, all your ways acknowledge God first, and pay attention, and He will direct your path. So,
amen.
One step at a time.
Where can they get the book?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, right? So, just keep. So here's the thing.
Everywhere.
I am so happy about the fact I Googled myself and I Googled the title of the book, and I was probably the first 2 pages of Google. So that was great because that means it's indexing everywhere, and it's indexing big time in the UK. And that probably has a little bit to do with the fact that I don't know if you guys noticed, but the endorsement on the front was from the former CEO of Burberry, and she is the number 2 or 3 most powerful woman in the UK. And so the book is trending very well there. But you can, and my wife is great. She's throwing it up. Just keep living thebook.com.
That's right there.
He's on it.
I ain't thinking about
Right there. There you go, Rashida.
I'm gonna get her Thursday.
Right. Just keep living thebook.com and all of the major retail outlet stores. It is available. The Barnes and Nobles, your Walmarts, and things. Now, any store that you don't see it available on their website, call them. Because if you call them and keep asking for it, then they got to call me to get it. That's how they got Barney in all them stores. They had people keep calling and calling.
That's it.
So by all means.
Marcella, go ahead real quick.
Okay, just something that Lisa said earlier that her grandmother told her, stay out of God's way. God gives us all gifts to do things. Do what He tells you to do. Like she said, in all thy ways, acknowledge Him, He shall direct your paths. Stay out of God's business. Ask Him what it is that He wants you to do. Do that and let God move.
Move your hand, take your hand.
Absolutely, Mo.
Man, I could see your granny all in you, sis. She left you with a beautiful, and she left you with a beautiful story to tell everyone, and an awesome gift. That's all I got to say. It's a beautiful thing.
China.
Hey, Greg, I know Gina got to get in one, but now Marcella reminded me of something I got to tell you. Go ahead.
No, you know what? I didn't. Well, Lisa and I, we came full circle. We found out that we lived 3 blocks apart.
Oh, y'all not going to do that. Y'all not going to do that today.
3 blocks. But the funny thing is, the way that we ended up reconnecting, I don't know how she ended up on my feed, but She ended up on my
That's
feed
me.
and she said, I'm going to be at Jay's Breakfast Club. You know, that's our girl. And I support support her all the
Jocelyn.
time. So
Yeah.
every time there's something at Jay's Breakfast Club, I try to be there. So I
Mhm.
said, I'm going to be there. I told her, I said, I'm going to be there. And when I got there, it was the funniest scene because you were there with, what's his name? The actor.
Timon.
Yes. And he was this tall and she was here. And so when we took pictures, she stood on this box. So she could actually be in the picture. And so it was just hilarious to me. And that's the one thing that has stuck in my head about Lisa. But we afterwards we just developed a great relationship.
Yeah.
We've been inseparable ever since.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
True. Very true.
Lisa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I was laughing because I was going to say, like I said, one of the things that's really come out of this that's really blessed my soul is I did not want to publish this stuff at first, and people kept prodding me to do it. But I've got this letter. So there's a story in the book, really quickly, that I'm sitting on the bed in Granny's room, and she's watching TV, and she looks over me. She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm crying. I'm like, "I miss my mother." And she said, "Oh." And turns back around, starts watching TV. So it ticks me off, man. Like I'm ready to say some stuff to her because now she just dismissed my feelings. And how you gonna ask me what's wrong and then turn around like, oh, like I ain't say nothing, like you watching paint dry, right?
Yeah.
And so she said, and so now I'm mad now, but she's still my grandmother. I can't get disrespectful. So I say, well, why you ask me if you didn't care? And you just gonna dismiss what I said? I said, don't you miss her? She said, how stupid is that? Of course I miss her. That's my child. Of course I miss my child. Mm-hmm. And she said, but I talk to her every day. And I was like, what? Mm-hmm. She said, look, your problem is you sitting around here making up rules and being mad. Tell me where in the Bible it tells you that you can't talk to her just because she's not here physically no more. Mm-hmm. You pissed off because you made up some rules that ain't even in the book.
Wow.
Trying to do God's business again. Why don't you just accept where he is and talk to her anyway? She around. I'm like, talk to her. She said, so you trying to tell me that every time you smell something that smell like your mama, you don't know it's her? Or every time you hear something that you know is your mama, you don't think it's her? You think about her. She around, stupid.
Man. Only Granny can say that.
Everybody, this
so that's your problem. You try to do God's business. But a young lady wrote me and said, that's the story that saved her life.
Wow.
And if you could touch one, there you go. Lisa Bennett, this is Just Keep Living is her book. JustKeepLivingTheBook.com is her platform. It's her how you can get the book. Rashida gonna let us know that Thursday too, of course. Yeah. Me and Rashida gonna cry on. Yes, we are. Look,
for sure.
Sis, I love you. You are fantastic. Man. I just don't know what else to say. Can't say too much about you because there's nothing bad to say. And you know, I like.
I appreciate that.
I like saying bad stuff. She said, "Yes, we are." Oh, you don't even know. Rashida, gird your loins. Get it ready, girl.
What'd you say? Gird her loins. All right.
Get it ready.
They gonna act up bad. My wife is
I already know.
Yeah, yeah.
She go toe to toe with me just like Gina do. She goes and Marcy go toe to toe with me. All right. I'm not used to people going toe to toe with me, but hey, you know I can take it from them. Okay. Real quick,
big boy draws. You'll be all right.
I got them on. You want to see?
Yeah, let me see.
Let me see.
All right, real quick, man. We got Bobby Peoples has a new movie. It's called Insatiable. We run this trailer real quick.
Do you know anyone that would kill somebody for 10 grand? There's something I want to talk to you about.
Well, you send me a message and let me know that you're okay.
I've seen the way that she looks at him when you leave the room.
Miss Savage, be honest with me. Is Danielle still living here?
You know she killed my brother, right?
Popcorn time.
Slapped the taste out of her mouth, didn't she?
That's sensational. Bobby Peoples and his wife and the cast and crew of the movie, they will be here Monday. So you guys tune in and check us out. We got a lot of good things coming on, but the best thing that's going on right about now is my little sister, Lisa. Lisa, we appreciate you coming through, hanging out with us.
Always enjoyable.
And Gina, Mo, Marcella, we got to do another. So we got to set this up immediately so we can have the second part, because I know there's a lot more. And again, I hate the fact that we got guests like her to come on. I mean, I love the fact that we got them on, but I hate the fact because there's so much that we have to squeeze into an hour, and we can't do it. We can't do it. It's amazing, but it's sad. But we're gonna get through it, all right? Lisa, you on here right now. You got to come back, right?
I will come back anytime y'all ready. I like to talk, so.
Yes, we do know that, okay? But it's a good thing. It's a good thing because you got a lot of stuff to say, and it's good stuff, all right? I can't wait until we're able to do some work together. Actually, we're doing something right now, but I can't wait to really get out there. Lisa and I have talked about going from place to place and speaking and talking, and it's just a lot of stuff. We'll get into that the next time we get together. It's Dope Living TV Live. I'm trying not to get off, okay? But it's Dope Living TV Live. I guess my sister
Peace.
Lisa, my sister Marcy, my brother Mo, my sister Gina. We will see you guys tomorrow, all right? Peace out.
All right. Peace, y'all.